Hi, everyone. This is Michele Graglia.
This is Marianne Hogan.
Hi, I'm Adrian McDonald.
I'm Katie Asmith.
Hi, this is Anthony Gasals.
Hi, my name is Meg Morgan.
Hey, it's Jordan Trove.
This is John Ray.
This is Ryan Van Duzer, and you are listening to the Gotta Run Racing Podcast.
Hey everyone, we are back with another Gotta Run Podcast.
Hello, hello. What's going on?
Welcome to April.
Bleh.
It's still winter to us.
Yes, it is. Never ending.
We will get outside one day.
Maybe. Before we get into it today, we'd like to give a shout out to a friend of the podcast, Fanny Barrett from Calgary. She was actually featured on episode 9.
That goes way back.
Way back. When she completed the Grand Slam of Hundreds, including Western States the same year as you.
And the reason why we got her on the show was because she got into Western States. It was the first Canadian Trail to Western States person that we featured, I think.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, Fanny's experiencing some pretty tough health battles right now, and we just want to let her know that her running community across Canada is thinking about her.
Yes.
We wish her well.
All the best, Fanny.
For those of you that are new to our podcast, we love featuring Canadians who get to toe their line at Western States. Because the lottery process is so brutal, it can take years, and an average about, 15 Canadians get in every year, if that?
Pretty much.
Yeah. But for our next guest, it did not take him very long. Ryan Smook from Grand Prairie, Alberta, got into Western with just 4 tickets. Wow.
Now, with the tons of research we did on Ryan, this is what I know for sure. We were neck and neck last year at Lost Soul 100K.
Neck and neck, eh?
Which I believe is one of his Western States tickets, but we'll get into that. Yeah, he finished 4th, and I finished 18th. It was exactly 3 hours apart.
Wow, neck and neck.
Yeah, so in 100K, that's pretty much arm length.
Yeah, okay.
So I just saw him cross, like the back of him.
And then you crossed?
Yeah.
And there were 14 people between you. That's a long arm, buddy.
I think I saw him across the field. Oh, boy. Well, when I say neck and neck, I started neck and neck.
That's true. Anyway, his first ultra was a 100-miler. Then he jumped into a 200 at the Divide, and now he's going to Western, which we think is his first international race.
Wow, that's exciting. To be Western, to be your first international race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, without further ado, here is Ryan coming up. All right, Ryan, welcome to the podcast, and big congrats on getting into Western States with just 4 tickets.
Yeah, thank you.
You lucky bugger.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who hate you right now.
Yeah, probably. Definitely was not expecting it.
Before we get into your journey to Western States, let's go back to the beginning and tell our legions of fans of how you started running.
Yeah. So I would say my friends got me into running. I had a few friends that we did the Canadian Death Race together way back in 2013. So we did that as a team. So I was like 25 back then, 24. And yeah, I got stuck on leg 2. So that was fun.
That's the leg I did.
Did you? Nice. Yeah. Yeah, running 5 kilometers to 10 kilometers a week didn't really train me too well for it. But but anyways, we did that as a team and we all completed it. And then in 2019, so I didn't run at all from 2013 to 19. And then we wanted to do it again. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we were kind of looking for another challenge, but a few guys weren't really too into it. So then I was doing some training and we decided a few of us to do the marathon together.
Nice.
And yeah, that's kind of how I got into it again. I was never a runner growing up. So my family always asked me, like, what happened to you? What's going on? Well, it's kind of the community.
Oh, it is. Nice.
And yeah, that's pretty much how it started.
Where were you living in 2019?
In Grand Prairie, Alberta. So
that's not far, right?
No, it's about just under 2 hours from Grand Cache. So I lived in Grand
Okay.
Junction High School for a little bit, so that's how I know of everybody there in
Yeah,
the death race.
we were there in what year was for you?
2005.
2005.
Okay. Oh yeah. So I had just moved there as a kid in 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots changed since then, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And your first ultra was 100-miler.
Yeah. Yeah. Sinister 7.
Of all the Sinisters to pick. I mean, of all the ultras to pick, that's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. It was originally supposed to be death race because I had done the marathon and my friends Jordan and Rory were doing the full death race.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of got a taste of it there. Once I finished the marathon, there was like a portion of me that was like, I could have done leg 3, I think. Probably couldn't have done much more than that. But after I had that thought in my head, then I signed up for death race. But then it was 2020 and they canceled it. And then in 2021, we were supposed to be away during death race. So I had some training under my belt. So I just decided to jump right into the Sinister 7.
100-miler.
Yeah, 100-miler, yeah. Yeah, it was interesting for sure. I learned a lot.
So how did it go?
Yeah, tell us about your first 100-miler.
First one, yeah. Well, I went down there with my wife and my cousin and his wife. They were my crew. And yeah, the day started off pretty good. I made it through legs 1 and 2. It was really hot that year. It was hot this year too, this past year, but same thing with 21. It was pretty hot. So I spent most of the day, just enjoying it, talking to people on the trails. Survived leg 3. And then leg 4 came, and so that's like halfway through after leg 4.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it got pretty tough. I was starting to stretch a lot on the trails, and it was, once the sun went down, that was good. But like halfway through the race, my ankles were starting to swell up a little bit. I was starting to get some shin splints, and just a lot of learning the whole day. A lot of learning about everything, myself and the community and everything like that. So
Yeah, did you ever have any self-doubt during the race going, I don't think I'm going to get this thing done?
No.
Okay.
Well, no, that's a lie. I definitely had self-doubt. Yeah. I always had the mindset of I'm going to finish, but there was a few times, like, so halfway through the race, I didn't know how I could keep going at that same pace. Like, I basically had to keep the same pace to finish the race. And my legs are swollen. Like, I don't understand how. And then, I went through leg 5, and halfway through leg 5, have you guys ever done that race? Been down there for Sinister?
Not the Sinister 7, no. We've done other races they put on.
Yeah, gotcha. So on that one, I don't know if they still do it, but in the middle of the night, they have a party aid station. It's kind of, they just got lights and like all sorts of stuff going on. And I had a shot of Jameson there and pickle juice. My knees are so sore. I was like, anything to take the edge off. So did that, and then got to the crew, and just kind of, my wife and my crew were awesome. They just said, you can keep going, it's fine. So I just listened to them and just kept moving. And it was interesting.
How long do you have to finish this race?
You get 30 hours. 30
hours. And you finished in what?
29 hours and 20 minutes or something. I think I had like 40 minutes to spare. But at the end, I just didn't stop. There's the last aid station. I was like, I can't. If I sit down, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to get out of the chair. So, just kept moving and finished.
That must have been a tough recovery if you had that kind of swelling during.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. My legs were swollen for like a whole week. My lower legs, I couldn't even move my ankles.
Wow.
Yeah, they were like I took a week off work, preemptively took a week off work, and I needed to. I couldn't even. After a week, then when the swelling went down, I could start moving my ankles. And then, I don't know. It was pretty scary for a little bit there. was wondering if I made a mistake or not.
So what was it about that experience that made you want to go back for more? Some people would be like, nah, I'm done. I did it. I'm done.
Yeah. Well, what it was like I said, I had plans. We were supposed to not be in Grand Cache for Death Race, but we ended up being able because of COVID and everything. So our plans changed. So I actually still was signed up for Death Race. I don't know why. I think it was because my cousin was doing the marathon and I wanted to show up and support him too. And then I had friends running too, so I was whatever. So I woke up the morning of Death Race and I had no pain. I was all recovered, but not really. I lasted like 20K into Death Race and had to tap out. Well, I actually ended up finishing leg 1 and 2, but I would have took any quad that would have picked me up after 20 kilometers, but they just didn't come. So I just kept walking up and over all the mountains and finished. But I think after I finished leg 2 and tapped out, I think with a little bit different training, I could finish this race. And I've always, since I started this, I've had a thing of just seeing after finishing Sinister 7, it was okay. I thought I couldn't do what I did, but I did. And
exactly.
So yeah, that's why I signed up for the triple. I pretty much signed up for the triple as soon as I DNF'd the Death Race. I was like, I can do this.
So in 2022, you took on David Goggins' challenge 4x4x48, which please explain that concept to our listeners in case they haven't heard of it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the 4x4x48 challenge is a challenge that, David Goggins has made it popular, and I think a lot of ultra runners or people, they kind of know who David Goggins is right now, but it's you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So it's a test of...
Yeah, what was it about that it inspired you to take it on?
Just the challenge of... the challenge itself, and I like to raise money for Movember and different causes, so I kind of used it to help raise money. That year I used it to raise money for a little girl and that was in my son's class who had cancer, so used it to raise money for that, and then also a challenge for myself. But yeah, that year was a little interesting because we were planning on going to Mexico for my friend's wedding. But it's the same time that this challenge was going on, and it's kind of a unofficial worldwide challenge, right? That's kind of everyone does it at the same time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do it at that same time. So yeah, I started in Grand Prairie and I timed it. So I ran to the airport and then got on the plane and met my wife and all the friends that were going on the trip. And then we flew to Calgary just in time. Then I ran around Calgary twice during the layovers in the terminal. And then, then on the flight, I did a couple workouts on the flight, or one workout.
Nice.
Obviously, I can't run 4 miles on the plane.
Yeah.
I got enough looks as it was. So.
What were you doing for your workout?
Just like L-sits and sit-ups and just basically... Goggins says in the challenge, if you do 45 minutes of working out, if you can't run, he just wants people to get up and do a workout every 4 hours, right? So
nice.
I switched it for a workout on the plane going over the States. And then when we landed in Mexico, I finished it in Mexico.
Oh, that's cool.
My workout on the plane would be drinking more beer. Just keep going like this.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the mental training, not doing that.
Yeah, there you go.
Funny enough, that David Goggins is the reason why we started this podcast.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I have to say a lot of his mindset was how I finished the first Sinister with I don't know if it's a way of life, but it's useful for periods of time in your life, I think.
Absolutely,
Right.
For sure. And later that year of 2022, you went back and took on Sinister 100 Miler again. So tell us specifically how your approach was different.
I would say my approach to training was I just did a lot more back-to-back runs and just a little bit more volume. The first year I did it, I would go for a long run and then I would recover for 2 days, right? during training. So I would say the biggest thing was when I would do my training, I would do a long run and then do a recovery run. I didn't know anything what a recovery run was. The first year I was training, I thought sitting on the couch was a good recovery. It's not. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I didn't really change anything in my workouts. I did knees over toes stuff, like some body weights, and I focused on my lower limbs, my shins. I didn't even know what a tibia muscle was, those muscles, and I learned out quick.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, so a little bit of that, but that's the biggest approach, I would say.
And what was the difference in your time?
It was 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty good.
There you go.
Yeah. And if I was racing the race, I could have done a little bit more, but I was just so worried about being too broken for death race, so I definitely held back a little bit.
Yeah, let's get into their journey to Western States. First, how did you even hear about Western States?
Yeah, I heard about Western States through the Unbreakable YouTube. Yeah, I did. I've started watching it just before in the morning prep for the Black Spur Ultra when I finished the Sinister triple, that last race. So I was stretching and watching it, and that is where I first heard about it.
If you're not inspired by that movie, then there's no hope.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's that movie and it's the book Born to Run are the two inspirations.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, my friend Jordan Kirkby got me into the Born to Run book, and I've listened to that a couple of times. Yeah, definitely.
Now, we think your first ticket to Western States was the Canadian Death Race, which is close to my heart. It was my first ultra as well. You did it a couple of weeks just after Sinister 7. Is that right?
Yeah.
In 2022? So tell us how the Canadian Death Race went after finishing 100 miler Sinister 7 in 2022.
Yeah, it went pretty good. Yeah, I ran most of it with my friend Tina, off and on, and the weather worked out really well. It wasn't too hot. Yeah, it went pretty well. I finished in just under 20 hours, so
nice.
Pretty respectable time for someone like me.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you finished the Canadian Death Race and you have your one ticket and you throw it in the lottery. Were you surprised not getting picked the next year?
No, I wasn't surprised. I did my research. I knew that I was fully expecting a 6 to 8 year journey for that. Yeah. I still watched live. I watched the lottery live.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you went back to Death Race in 23. Is that what we were just talking about?
Yeah, now we went back in 23, yeah. We just finished 22.
That was 22? Mm-hmm. Sorry. And you took another hour off your time. So obviously, knowing the course, knowing where you can improve is a huge game changer rather than going into something blind, right?
For sure.
Did you do any specific tweaking there? No,
that year we stepped it up a bit. So I was training for the Divide for that year. So we used Death Race. And so I was doing a lot of training. And that year, I think what the biggest thing was our time in transitions is what saved me. I still wasn't really pushing the actual running too much. I ran that one with Jordan Kirkby. So we ran like every step together, but he likes to talk a lot. So his transitions are a little slower. So I said, we got to be faster in transitions. So I think that's the whole reason why we were an hour faster that time.
Right.
It was just because.
But Divide is only 5 weeks after Death Race. So that's a bit of a mental challenge, I would say. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, it worked out good.
But what is your friends and family saying to you right now? Say, what are you doing? Like, where's all this coming from?
Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of support with that. I have to say, they definitely question it. My parents, for sure, question it, but nothing but support from my friends and family for the most part.
That's awesome.
A lot of my friends were kind of into it anyways, so Jordan Kirkby is one of my best friends. He was in my wedding party. He's been into it even longer than I knew about. I didn't even know he was doing it.
Mm.
Oh, really?
Like when we were younger. Yeah.
Wow.
He was just doing it just to do it. And yeah. So I have a lot of support that way with my friends and my wife.
Yeah. What's her name?
Chantal.
Chantel. Okay. I was going to say your friend group tends to change after running ultras for a few years. You tend to find yourself surrounded by more ultra runners.
Yeah, that can definitely happen. It's interesting watching it just grow. Kind of now the family's starting to get into it a little tiny bit, and friends that, yeah, it's interesting.
So what did the Divide 200, what was the appeal to now sign up for the Divide?
Well, I don't know. I was signed up for Fat Dog, and then so I was wanting to do something more different. So I'd done a 100-miler. So Fat Dog was like, 120, like that's seems like a good step. And then they just randomly, well, probably not randomly, but random to the public, kind of announced the Divide. And we're familiar with the Sinister sports stuff. And Jordan applied, and he's like, "You should apply." And I was like, maybe, like that's seems like a lot.
Big step.
So anyways, so I think I really like that area. I think after doing the first Sinister 7 and just how much of kind of a life-changing experience that was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's down there. It goes over portions of the Sinister 7 trail, and it's just in that Blairmore area. So, and then with Jordan going down there too. If Jordan didn't do it, I probably would have just stayed with Fat Dog.
Right.
But he got in. I didn't get in the lottery. I got in. Brian messaged me a couple months later, like I think in December or maybe even January. And they did the lottery back in the September for October. So he asked me, and then I called Jordan. I was like, "Should I go in?" And he's, yes, you need to. It's like, okay, here we go.
Now, weather, if I'm remembering correctly, they haven't had great weather during the Divide, have they? To this point?
Well, last year was terrible.
Okay.
The weather last year was terrible, but the weather, it was good actually. It was actually pretty nice the first year.
Maybe I'm just focusing on last year's because I remember seeing horror stories on Instagram.
Last year was miserable. I paced my friend Jen last year, and it was just rainy and gross.
But your year, you were able to go into BC and come back out again, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they changed it a bit. So yeah, they got rid of the Divide slide, and they called it, or Shep called it that, and the Trail of Tears.
Trail of Tears.
Yeah, you don't have to go down there anymore. So now they just go up the pass. So that's like the Kootenay Pass, one of the Kootenay passes. I can't remember if it's the west or north or which one, but the year I did it, we climbed it and then descended down into BC. And then there's like a 45-kilometer long trail and road that we had to do that I almost froze to death and got heat stroke on.
Oh, geez. All at the same time. Have you guys checked out our merch via our website, Gotta Run Racing? We have some really cool swag, including the mugs that, if you've watched our YouTube video, that we drink with. Cool red mug with a cork bottom. It keeps liquids nice and cold or warm. What else do we have on there, Norm?
Well, we have our shirts that I'm wearing.
That's right. You can either choose from Gotta Run Podcast or Gotta Run Racing. You can also find our 20-liter dry bags, which are a steal at $25. Perfect for using it drop-off bag at an aid station. We've got flasks. We also have cooling multifunctional neckwear, which is a fancy word for a cooling buff. Has the Gotta Run Racing and Podcast logos on it. Not to mention, we have the affiliate links for the 3 companies, for the 3 brands that we are affiliated with, that being Air Relax, Compression Therapy, Caffeine Bullet, and Kinesys Sunscreen. So by following those links, you can access exclusive discounts. So do check that out, GottaRunRacing.com. Well, speaking of stories, is there any hallucination or wildlife stories from that race that you've experienced?
Yeah, a couple. First wildlife one. Yeah, there was a lady ahead of us who ran into a bear. So she was waiting for us. And then Jordan and I caught up to her. And do you mind if we stick with you? There's a bear up there. We're like, oh, yeah. So we start making lots of noise. And then it wasn't a bear. It was a cow.
Oh!
Or was it? That could be a hallucination.
Yeah, it could have been. This was just under halfway. So shouldn't have been a hallucination then. But could have been. And then, yeah, so when we were pretty deep into the race, it was in the nighttime, and I thought I saw a frog on the road, or a toad. So or I was on the trail. So I took my poles and I was trying to get it to hop across the trail. And Jordan and Jen and Rob are like, our two pacers are like, Smook, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm trying to get the toad to get off the trail. That's a turd, dude. It was a cow patty. It was not a toad. So that was my closest hallucination.
Okay.
Yeah. I was wondering why the toad wasn't going to move.
Did you get much sleep during that race?
Well, not much, I guess. And I got about 4 hours, I would say.
That's pretty good. In the course of, what was your finishing time?
Just under 87 hours. Yeah, our sleep plan originally was different. So we were going to just do like 45 minutes naps when we saw the crew, but we got passed by a guy who was just flying, and he's like, yeah, I just had a 2-hour nap and I feel great. So Jordan and I looked at each other, we're like, we're sleeping for an hour and we're sleeping more. So then we started sleeping a little bit more. But yeah, it was, I think, just 4 hours total. We got to the last aid station, and so like that 45-kilometer section, it was like 6 a.m. It was super cold, and Jordan was falling asleep on his feet, and I was frozen and thought I was going to die. So I looked at Jordan and I was, are you okay? Are you cold? And he said, no, I'm not cold. And I was like, okay, well, I'm running because I'm going to die. So I ran in, but he was like half asleep. I didn't really realize he was literally like sleepwalking.
Oh, geez.
And so I ran, and Rob and I started running, and we ran like the 8 kilometers in. And so we were kind of on a high, and then Jordan kind of woke up. Where's Smook? And Jen's like, he left. We got to get going. So that was the only 40 minutes that we were apart from each other in the whole divide.
Wow.
And once we got in, then we made a mistake of not sleeping because we were pumped. We're like, we're almost there. And we got about 5 kilometers and had to sleep on a gravel road, basically, because we couldn't walk anymore. So I was like, that was a mistake.
Of all the people that we've talked to who've done 200s and more, they talk about their sleep plans. They never go according to plan.
Doesn't go to plan.
I think you just have to take it when it hits you.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right.
We tried the caffeine gum and all that stuff. I don't know. Yeah, I think, you just gotta go with it. Don't be too worried if your plan goes out the window.
No, you have to pivot. You have to be able to pivot and adapt.
Well, congrats on finishing the divide. Do you see another 200 in your future?
I don't know. I wouldn't say no. I would say maybe. Yeah, I would. I think I would do one again whenever the time. Not anytime soon. It's a lot family-wise and work. Like, it's just
commitment.
Yeah, it's a lot. So it's a big commitment. I like the training. I think the training is fine, but just the whole process of getting there. And
yeah, exactly.
So,
yep.
One day, maybe my 40th birthday or something.
Before we get to Lost Soul from last year, just wanted to mention about, you obviously inspired your family because you took on Death Race again with your wife and your son. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. My son asked how old you had to be to run Death Race. And I said, well, I don't know. I can look into it. And anyways, he was interested in being a part of it. And I was like, well, you could probably, if we did it as a team, you could definitely do leg one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's just like doing the kids race twice. So yeah, he was interested in it. So we talked to Chantel and she was interested in doing something. So yeah, he was 9 years old.
Wow.
And completed leg one in just over 2 hours.
That's not an easy leg either.
No,
Don't you
it's
go up and
not.
over something? You go up and
No.
over.
Yeah, you kind of go along the side of Grand Mountain.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not easy for sure. And it kind of helped. Like we had a cousin, my cousin Brandon was doing the marathons, and I just know a lot of people that were on the trail. So I was comfortable with him being around people that we knew.
Nice.
That was the only leg that I would even think about letting him do.
Right. So does he want to do more?
Yeah, so he's doing the Sinister. He would do more. He's not doing anything bigger this year, distance-wise, but he's doing each of the Sinister kids races this year.
Nice.
He got a little upset because he did the kids race after leg one. So on the Sunday, he did the kids race, and he didn't really do too well.
I wonder why.
And I was like, yeah, I wonder why. I was like, you don't have to do it. No, my friend, like, I want to do it. Okay, like, if you want to do it, sure. And then, yeah, he finished it, and he was like, I probably shouldn't. No, it's fine. You survived. So I think he wants to just do a little bit better this year at the kids race. So
Right.
that's what he's doing.
That's awesome.
Last year, you and I towed the line at Lost Soul. And it was a
Yeah.
freaking furnace. Inferno.
Yeah.
And I remember I asked Dean, the director, and he told me there was about 6 hours of 40-degree weather. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever experienced heat like that before?
No. No, not like that. Not with no shade. There's no shade anywhere. There's like 300 meters of shade at the end of leg 5, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe, not even. No, I've never felt that type of heat before. Like I said, the first Sinister was pretty hot, but not that hot. Yeah, that was crazy. I didn't do too well in the heat.
No.
No.
Did you have ice sleeves or ice bandana or anything?
Yeah, I had ice sleeves. Yeah, and a bandana. Yeah, I got a bandana from the Backyard Ultra I did, and the BC Backyard Ultra, they gave us some, so I had that and used that, and then ice sleeves. So yeah, definitely iced as much as possible.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot you can do, though, when it's that open.
No. Is that your first time there?
That was my first time. I did enjoy it, and I was telling that to Jody, where she could probably come out and do the 50K the next day.
Well, we train in humidity all summer long,
I wasn't too...
We're used to it.
Yeah, and plus I did Western, and that is freaking hot. And so Javelina's hot, so I was used to it, but I didn't expect it. That's the thing. I didn't expect it in the coulees. Isn't it called coulees for a reason? No. It should be called the hotties.
Yeah. Yeah, like I went from Grand Prairie and it was 10 degrees. We hadn't seen 20-degree weather since early August.
Oh.
So, I had trained in some heat early, but no, I was not ready for that.
It was unexpected, yeah.
You also lose your heat training fairly quickly, too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I've been learning about that with Western States and trying to learn about heat training. If I was thinking about it, I think everybody would have done a lot better if they were heat trained for that race.
Yeah.
True. Also, but
Well, you did well. You finished 4th. So you and I were pretty close there. We're pretty close coming in.
yeah.
I won't tell you my time, but
Oh.
we got it done.
He's got 20 years on you. I'll give you that.
All right. You're 20 years younger than me. I don't use that as an excuse for myself.
But other people looking in were like, oh, they're 20 years difference. Well, it's going to be hot at Western.
Yeah,
so
well, that's the thing. The Western States is going to be similar conditions.
Yeah, I think I'll be much more prepared this year.
Were you watching the lottery every year? Now that you had all these tickets there, all these 4 tickets in, were you watching the lottery every year?
Yeah. I watched the last 2 years, but then this year, just so happened I was coaching my son's hockey. While it was going on. So I was live streaming it on my phone, trying to check in every now and then, but had some duties to fulfill with the coaching. And then, yeah, got a couple texts right after during the game.
Nice.
And I said, oh, crap.
You're in. So how many messages
Yeah.
do you get from people that want to be your pacer?
Oh, yeah, quite a few. Not like a ton, to be honest. It wasn't like an overwhelming amount, but yeah, I got Jordan Kirkby is definitely going to come down and pace, and then my cousin Brandon wants to pace too. So that was always his. We had a plan of, obviously you don't think you're going to get in for like 6 years, so you have to be ready now.
Absolutely. Are you going to spend a little bit of time in the area before the race, or are you kind of flying in and flying out?
Yeah, no, we're going to try to make a family like holiday out of it, vacation a little bit. But the getting there, probably not going to be getting to Olympic Valley. We're going to get there on the Wednesday. That's probably what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we won't be there for a week before. So
Wasn't the Wednesday the international dinner?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so if you do get in Wednesday, you could go right to the international dinner.
They have a free dinner for any.
yeah, I definitely want to take in all the.
Yeah, definitely. But you're doing the training camp, right, Ryan?
Yep.
Yeah, Norm did too. So
Yep.
that huge benefit to that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I've never scouted a course before, so I'm pretty excited to go down and get the experience a little bit and see it.
Send him your video.
Well, on our YouTube channel, I actually videotaped the entire course during the camp, so you can watch it in 3 legs.
Okay, cool.
Will Western States be your first international race?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do I want to choose?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, most of the races I've done have been in Western Canada, so I haven't actually traveled too much.
Well, once you do a race in another place, it kind of gives you that bug that you want to do more.
The destination races. Yeah, watch out for those.
Yeah.
Although where you live is a destination for most people outside of Alberta and BC, so I can see that your backyard is pretty special, but still, what are you most looking forward to at Western? What's sort of on the top of mind that you want to experience? Or
Yeah, I just want to kind of experience all of it, the history of it, the challenge of it. I'm very interested to see what the community is like there compared to Canada and the Sinister races. We've been to a few different ones like around, and it's just a little bit different everywhere you go. So, lining up with a whole bunch of actual athletes will be a little different too. So, not that I expect to be anywhere near them, but just be cool. I just want to experience the whole thing.
Well, a little secret, you can actually line up at the very front because no one goes to the line until the last few minutes before. So if you really want to,
you can stand right beside Jim Walmsley,
you
no
can be
problem.
front and center.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's funny how these things go, how you can do that, with ultra running.
It's the only sport I can think of.
Yeah.
I was standing right beside Camille Herron when I started. I said, I don't care. I got the best view right here. Straight up. Well, when you reach the track, you need to slow down and soak it all in. That's my advice to you. Just soak it in and say, you know what? I can't believe I just did this.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep going back and forth because I always like to sprint at the end of races.
No, not at Western. Slow down.
Exactly.
Slow down.
Give the announcers time to talk about you.
Yeah.
You send them a bio, and all the lead fans there are going to know about you as you're crossing in. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, it's a good time.
That's pretty cool.
It's going to be hard to top it. Let me tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, this was always my I'll keep doing this until I get into Western States. So. But now I got in pretty early, so I'm like, maybe I'll still do some more after. Who knows?
Well, and shout out to your cousin, Brandon, who actually sent us an email and said that you were one of the lucky ones to get in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. He's had quite the journey too. So I'm pretty proud
Yeah,
of
I
him.
did look up him on Ultra Sign Up. Yeah, he does have quite some adventures we can chat about.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be watching that magical day in June, and we wish you all the best.
Okay. Awesome.
But before we let you go, we're going to do some rapid fire, just a fun way to end off the pod. Okay. Speaking of bucket list races, since you're going to be knocking one off your list, if you could only run one race for the rest of your life, whether you've done it or not, and let's take Western out of there, what would it be?
One race for the rest of my life.
A race you haven't done yet, probably.
Yeah. I've been really interested in seeing what the Hurt 100 is like,
Oh,
but I've never been there. So that would be like one that I want to go to
Yeah,
and see what that's all about.
very cool.
So I don't know if that's a one for the rest of my life, but
no,
I would say after this, what's that?
you're going to be hurting after Hurt, for sure.
Yeah,
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I like it.
You like it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Favorite junk food?
It's kind of boring, but Ferrero Rochers are my favorite.
Okay. They don't travel well when you're running, unfortunately.
No, I've never eaten them during running. My favorite thing to eat during running is Scandinavian swimmers. It's a Trader Joe gummy bear.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
They're
Alright.
like little lobsters.
Okay.
Do they stick to your teeth?
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, not really.
No,
but
okay.
yeah.
No? Okay. Treadmill run or -20 outdoor run?
Oh, I did a lot of treadmill running this year, but I would still say a sunny -20 is better than the treadmill.
Yeah, it has to be sunny. It has to be sunny. And no wind.
Yeah,
No
we had
wind.
a pretty icy winter this year, so I did do a lot of treadmill running. But
Mm.
Would you rather be a professional writer, painter, or a musician?
painter.
Painter?
Oh.
Yeah, I think so. I like
Okay.
drawing and art, and I'm a terrible painter, so I've always wanted to be a better painter, so if I could do that.
And before I throw it to you, we have to ask our Canadian butter tarts with or without raisins.
Without. I don't really like
Oh.
butter tarts, though, so
You don't
Oh.
like them?
I'm not a big butter tart guy, but I would say
No.
I would eat them, without. I don't like raisins.
All right, Norm.
Pick a superpower that you'd like to have.
Yeah, it's probably been said before, but the Wolverine superpower would be my go-to, I think.
Regeneration.
Regeneration, yeah.
Be super handy in this sport.
Yeah. And in life in general, fix my shoulders up.
What's your son's superpower that he would like to have?
Oh, yeah. He asks me this too all the time. He likes Flash, I think.
Mm.
To run faster? I can see that. Yeah, he wanted to do the kids race right after doing leg
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again, Ryan. All the best.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
We're going to be watching you
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
live and uncensored.
But yeah. That's awesome.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
And that was Ryan Smook from Grand Prairie, Alberta, getting into Western States with just 4 tickets.
Son of a gun.
It's a fun fact, actually. I was looking at the results of Lost Soul,
Mm-hmm.
and he came 4th.
Right.
Mike Jolie came 5th, another past guest of ours.
Yeah.
And Devin Featherstone came 6th,
Wow.
right in a row. 3 past guests that there was 4, 5, and 6.
Well, Lost Soul is an iconic Canadian race, and that's where we find our guests. Absolutely.
Yeah, very good.
Very good.
It was just that, oh, wow, wait a minute. I know you.
And speaking of Lost Soul, I haven't picked a race for this year. Maybe.
Oh, Lost Soul. Well, if you could, I don't know. I think they sell out pretty quick. We have to check the registration. But the 50K could be open.
That's true.
Yeah, if you could squeeze that in there. And that, in fact, you know what? We have not picked a race. So I'll tell you what, to our listeners, how about you throw some races our way?
Yeah, great idea.
And let us say, yeah, you know what? Come to our race. As if you're a director of a race, say, guys, come to our race. We got this to offer. Or if you ran a race that
You think would fit?
that we're looking for.
Well, we need a 50K for me and an 80 or 100K for you, right?
Or something in between that we can go to run together.
Right. Hit us up.
Yeah, let us know saying this is the one for you guys. Love to have you.
I love that idea because we're really struggling. We're open to your suggestions, so let us know. Gotta Run Racing on Instagram,
Or,
Facebook.
or send us an email, gottarunracing@gmail.com.
All right, it's tea time. Let's go.
Until next time. Cheers.
Bye.